Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Ever since the election, there's been a whole string of polls, and they all show really the same thing. As time gone on, Labour are becoming unpopular and Reform are becoming increasingly, and some would say amazingly, popular. The momentum is definitely with Reform. Now, a latest poll that was released actually yesterday shows that the Tories are now first on 28%, Labour second on 26%, and Reform in third on 21%. It's constantly growing for Reform. Now, what does this mean? Well, one only has to think that the Tory party would find its natural home in Reform. They're very similar in terms of outlook. It's just that Reform is now the real Tory party. And so more Tories will join Reform than Labour would join Reform. But Labour are still joining Reform, particularly in the Red Wall, in the north. This is a thing that's happening. And so very, very quickly, as more people leave the Tories and go to Reform, the Tories will fall down, may well fall below Labour. Labour may lose a few, percentage here, percentage there, over to Reform. But what this will mean is, while the Labour and the Tories fall and Reform rises, it will not be long. It is simply a matter of time before Reform are the major party, the largest party by support at least. I'm going to stick my neck out and say, assuming that there's going to be polls before Christmas, I think Reform will definitely be second, but I'm going to say first, I think Reform can become the lead before Christmas. That's the rate at which these things are going. The momentum, as I say, is definitely there. It doesn't need much. 2% from Conservative to Reform, and the Conservative and Labour level pegging, and Reform's only 3% behind both of them. After that, it's anybody's game, isn't it? It's so close. But of course, it's close. But look what's happening. Labour are failing and failing and failing. They're losing their own core support. Core support is prime. And the Labour Party are throwing theirs away. And of course, this is before a lot of the things that they've said are actually biting. Once they come in and people see how much worse off they are, and they see jobs being lost, 1,100 jobs in Luton, for example, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. There'll be jobs everywhere going. And people will know this is a direct result of Labour policy. So I expect Labour to lose a lot of votes. And who are they going to go to? Well, they'll be hard pushed to go across to the Tories. So Reform it will be. They'll look at the new boys, the boys that don't have baggage. And that's what's going to happen. And as for the Tories, of course, well, Kemi Badenoch is too lightweight. People are seeing it now. Sure, she's okay at the ballot box, but she doesn't have any real hardline Tory policies. It's a party that's being led by donkeys, really. There's no true Tory values left in the Conservative Party, and people are increasingly seeing it. And so it's going to be Reform all the way. And this is a remarkable rise for this party. Now, once they do, and as I say before Christmas probably, once they do start leading, you've got to think that's going to very much worry the old guard in Labour, both Labour and Tory, especially going into the May elections. Now, when you've got more members of Reform than the Tory party, which it's generally regarded as now is the case, because what will have happened is people will have left the Tory party and gone to Reform, but they haven't cancelled their Conservative membership. They're just going to let it lapse when it next comes time to pay. And so they just go, oh, well, it runs out in May, so I just won't do it in May, and I'll join Reform now. And so that will be what's happening. And you're going to see this. Reform will be the biggest party in terms of membership in the country. It'll be the most popular party. It'll be the party that garners the most votes. The odds on Nigel Farage becoming the next Prime Minister, they have been slashed. All the big main bookmakers, William Hill, Ladbrokes, Coral, etc., they're all slashing the odds. You couldn't put money on Nigel Farage now. And with all that support, all that backing, and, of course, a good showing at the county council elections, that leads straight in again with that momentum into the Scottish elections, where they're going to clean up. Now, they're not going to be the biggest party in Scotland, not by a long chance, but they will wipe the Greens off the electoral map, which will be fantastic for everyone. What they'll also do is be either kingmaker, or they'll be the party that will ask another party to form a government. Because if they're the second biggest party, it's likely still that SNP will be the largest party in Scotland in Holyrood. But if the SNP are the second biggest party, they could go to Anna Sarwar and say, come into government with us, give us your vote, let's go in and let's do it. I think they'd prefer to do it with the Tories, but I don't think the Tories are going to have enough seats, if I'm brutally honest. And they have to make sure that they don't just have one or two over the line. They've got to have a significant over, to cover illness or, holidays and things. So it's probably going to be Labour. But if they do, it puts not only the Greens out of action entirely, but it removes all power and impotency and potency from the SNP, leaves them impotent, leaves them pointless. They're a party with a single obsession that aren't in power to deliver it. And of course, first thing, and Farage has said this, the first thing he would do would be to close all those embassies and get rid of the independence this and independence that. It'll be said it would totally change. Scotland would be completely changed, and you'd see it almost overnight. And I believe him. And if you can do that there and show that it can be done, you're running into the next. By that time, you're running into the next election cycle, and it'll be the end. I think it'll be the end of the Labour Party. It'd be a rump party. Labour would be third, if not fourth. And that, I would sell my back teeth to see that. So I think with a lot of people. So it's up to us, really, isn't it? It's up to the voters. It's up to us good people to sit there and decide that we have to have change. One way or another, we cannot continue with this effective uni-party. You've got the red Labour Party and the blue Labour Party at the moment. We've got to have a change, and change must come. So, fingers crossed. Thanks very much for listening. Take care. Speak soon. Goodbye, folks.